Well, really, back then, you realize how fortunate you are to live in a country like this. Because back then, they weren't fully developed as they are now. And, you realize that you come from a place of privilege and not taking stuff for granted because those people didn't have the stuff that we had, okay? They were living, they was some hard times, and when you walk out into the villages and the little cities, you see, I have never seen people just selling seafood, all different types of seafood right there on the street. I had never experienced that before. Octopus, stuff like that, stuff I had never seen before. Then I realized how fortunate I am, So that kind of like a culture shock to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it did make me appreciate, though,
okay,
that I come from. Although I came from difficult circumstances myself, but it's still, I didn't have it like they had it.
Welcome to the Americus podcast, where we will pursue what it means to become a next level neighbor, creating a place we enjoy with the people we love. I'm your host, John Schroeder, and today I am joined by my friend and brother, Calvin Sims. Calvin is a person who loves this city, is for this city. He helps and he administers many of the things on what's called Friends on a Mission, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. But Calvin, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for the invite, John.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I got a chance to meet you, Calvin, at lunch. We actually got together. Right. Several men got together, and I didn't know anyone. And so I was just kind of introducing myself, and you were just there. You welcomed me in, started asking questions about my life, my family. That's what I would call a next level neighbor. That's how you know that someone is truly caring. And so, first of all, thank you for doing that for me. But tell me a little bit about even this organization right now that's kind of building, and why that lunch was so important to you.
Well, it was very important that we as men come together. There hadn't been an organization like this in the community where men just come together and pray for one another. And we just got together. Reverend Harbuck invited me, and I came out. I met you, Reverend Wright, and some other people, and some other good men that are like-minded. Yeah. It's good to be with people that are like-minded, got a positive attitude. Although there's a lot going on, but you still got to have a positive attitude. And the Growth Ministry that came out of that meeting, we are trying to engage young men to get involved in their communities, to learn skills and stuff like that, so they could become men of God.
Yeah.
Helping them to grow in their faith with God.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, like I said, I was highly encouraged, very thankful for, again, men just taking time, right. Out of their day to be able to find ways to engage their community, young men, because, every generation matters. The next generation is coming up.
Yes.
And so very looking forward to talking a little bit more about that as well. But tell me a little bit about, Calvin Sims. One of the things that we do as people is we try to define people by what they do. And the best question that we should be asking is, who are you? What kind of, where do you come from? Tell me a little bit about who you are. So if you were to kind of describe yourself, who is Calvin Sims?
Calvin Sims was born and raised in Americus, Georgia. I came up through the public school system, came up during the system, came of age during the civil rights movement. My father was a pastor, pastored all over Southwest Georgia. My mom was a very Christian lady. Matter of fact, the church that I'm a member of now was her church.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we kind of followed in the footsteps of our dad. It was 8 of us, and we all was baptized. Yeah. And God and Mom instilled Christ in us in an early age. So faith has always been a big part of my life, John. Yeah. Very big part because of Mom and Dad. Yeah. They believed in Christ, and they instilled that in all their kids to believe in Christ. And that has carried me a long way in life, because when I came along, Americus was a lot different than what it is now.
Yeah. So describe a little bit of that. What do you mean by different?
Well, the racial attitudes and stuff like that. Like downtown Americus, we didn't come downtown on a regular basis. And if you did, you had to come with your parent. If you went into a store, you was followed around, or you were looked at in a different way. You always thought you was up to something. So it was a very different time. People had very different attitudes then, John.
Yeah. And so you feel like your faith was the thing that kind of helped you to process that, right? Because I mean, if you're being followed around, if you're having to go through that, I mean, it breeds negativity, right? It brings some sense of tension. Right. So how did you process that?
Well, we was at a young age then, John. Mm-hmm. We were still with mom and dad at home, preteens and stuff like that. So, we really didn't factor it in. We didn't bother us that much. Mm-hmm. We knew it existed, but it really didn't bother us, John, because that's the way it was. Mm-hmm. But mom and dad kept us out of trouble because as being young men growing up, you got short tempers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But mom and dad kept a tight rope on all of us, and when we was out and about, we knew what the rules to follow. We knew that we wouldn't bring shame on the family by doing something stupid. Mm-hmm. So we was always under control. When we was out from around mom and dad, we was always under control because we followed their rules and regulations because they said always don't bring shame on the family. Mm-hmm. That meant don't get in trouble with the law. Mm-hmm. That don't mean getting in arguments and fights. Always be respectful even when you wouldn't respect it.
Yeah. Wow. And so you had a mom and dad who was, following, their faith, love family, wanted to make sure to protect their family. Yeah. Did you have other parts of the community, friends, other relationships that kind of helped mold and shape you as well?
Just my brothers. Okay. We were tight knit.
Okay.
We were tight knit.
What was the age difference?
Let me see. The oldest brother now, we're 2 years apart. Okay. And the baby boy, we're about 3 years apart. Okay. So we was all tight knit. Okay. And when we went most everywhere together, and so we just kind of rubbed off of each other. Mm-hmm. We kind of grew up together and learned. We got in trouble together, got out of trouble together. Yeah. And stuff like that. But during that time, you didn't venture too far from home. Okay. Anyway, you mostly stayed in your neighborhood, and we would learn what not to do from other neighbors. Okay. Yeah. For what not to do. And back then, John, you got to remember, we was in a village. Mm. Everybody knew each other. Mm. It's not like it is now, John. Yeah. You can have neighbors and not really know them, but we had a village. Mm-hmm. If I walked out the house and went down to the other part of the neighborhood, say several blocks away, and if I did anything disrespectful, by the time I got back home, my parents knew about it. Mm. Okay? Yeah. And that's the way it was. Yeah. If I disrespected an elder in the community, hey, I got a whooping. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were, matter of fact, they would whoop you, and when you got home, your mom and dad would whoop you. Yeah. Because we were raised in a village. Everybody knew each other. Mm-hmm. They would tell you, that ain't right. Mm-hmm. I know your mama and daddy. Yeah. You know that ain't right. You know they don't want you doing this. So that kind of shaped me also. Yeah. That we were raised in a village. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would even say, I mean, with that, you have the same values, right? You have kind of the same care. Like I even know, it used to be. It's not like this now, but like Wednesday nights were sacred. You just didn't do anything. You don't schedule anything, but you go to church on Wednesdays. So it's just like, if you try to schedule something on a Wednesday, everyone's gonna be like, what's wrong with you? Whether it's school or sports, you just don't do it. You know? Got that right. So there are certain things that were really, really important to the community. Yeah. And so, with certain things that have changed in a positive way, there are some things that have changed that are a little bit more of an obstacle. Right. Do you have anything that would attribute to just kind of that change of that village mentality?
I would say that it just time. Mm. As time went on, people started getting distant from each other. Mm. The environment changed. Mamas was becoming parents at a very young age, and we just lost it some kind of way. We just lost it. Yeah. Well, we was instilling that. We stopped instilling those values. That's what I could say. Mm. That we stopped instilling those values that our forefathers and foremothers instilled in us. Mm-hmm. Somehow or another, they got lost along the way. I can't put my finger on it, John, but it got lost along the way. Yeah. Because, you don't have that village mentality anymore. You know, it wasn't too long after I became an adult, I could see that slipping away. You know, because you would leave the neighborhood for a couple of years, or maybe if you came back, you didn't know anybody that you came up with.
Yeah.
You know, either they were gone or had died off or something like that, or maybe incarcerated, because we just lost it, that village mentality. And that really played a part in society going down.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think things like this, like a podcast or really anything that's kind of focused in on, hey, how do we bridge those gaps again? How do we actually have conversations where we actually want to be neighbors and not just on the surface, not just connecting certain networks, but getting to a place where we can kind of go across the street, get a chance to meet someone, and know that you can let your kids. I mean, I remember even growing up at my age, my parents were like, the doors are locked. You can't come in. You go and play outside. But because we knew that we had this framework that was like, okay, they'll be fine, but now it's just like, I don't know if I can just let my kids go outside.
You can't know. You're right. That's just how much the world has changed. You just can't do it no more.
Yeah.
We're living in different times, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I love what you're doing is because not only are you self-aware, but that you're really finding ways to engage as an individual. You see, there's I think all of us have a desire to do something, but a lot of us are still kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They don't know exactly, is this where I need to put my time, my energy, my talents, my treasures? But you seem to be a person that says, hey, listen, when I see a need and I feel the calling, I'm going to go ahead and engage 100%. Yeah. And so that's encouraging to me because I need men in my life that say, hey, I'm still engaging right now. And I'm not waiting around for anyone else.
Well, several years before the pandemic, we had a mentorship program in the church, where we was mentoring young men every Saturday morning, and we saw some good fruits out of that. Like one young man, he just graduated this year from high school, fine young man. Yeah. And we saw other young men that have gone on to lead productive lives. So we did see some fruits of that label, but the pandemic put an end to that.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about just growing up. Obviously, you have a great care, concern. Did you know in middle school, high school, kind of where you were going? Like, what did you want to do? What was your career thoughts, or was that something that was a part of what you were thinking through, what you're processing?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, John. When I was coming up, we used to have a passenger station down here on railroad tracks. Okay. Passenger station. They used to run passenger trains through here all the time back in the 60s. And I was fascinated with trains. Okay. And that's what I wanted to go into, was the railroad industry. And that's what I did. Yeah. And I had a 32 career year after I did a little military time and stuff like that. Wow. I finally ended up in that industry, and I spent 32 and a half years in there. Okay. Very productive.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you went from high school straight into military, or?
Yeah. Okay. I did. Because when I came out, Vietnam was raging. Okay. And I got drafted. I had graduated in 68, got drafted in 69. But fortunately, I didn't go to Vietnam. I went to South Korea. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for serving our country in that way. So what was that like? I mean, you're born and raised in Americus. You kind of, Americus is small, and then saying, okay, I got drafted. I'm going to a whole different country. What was that experience like? It was a shock. Mm-hmm. It was a shock for a young man that never been outside of the state. It was a shock, but you had to take it one day at a time. And being in the military, it wasn't too bad because you had a kind of layer of protection around you. Mm-hmm. Someone was always advising you what to do and what not to do. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed my time in South Korea. Yeah, I got to know the people and the culture and stuff like that. I had never experienced a lot of cold weather until I went there. Okay. And it got very cold in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. And they were very, genuine people, loving people, kind people. We got to know them. So it was a very, very good, unique experience for me because it will instill discipline in you. The military will. It instill discipline in you. And, it will give you a way to to keep your mind focused on what's ahead.
Yeah. How did that experience in a different culture just help shape you even more for your care and love for other people?
Well, really, back then, you realize how fortunate you are to live in a country like this. Because back then, they weren't fully developed as they are now. And, you realize that you come from a place of privilege and not taking stuff for granted, because those people didn't have the stuff that we had, okay? They were living, there was some hard times, and when you walk out into the villages and the little cities, you see, I have never seen people just selling seafood, all different types of seafood right there on the street. I had never experienced that before. Octopus, stuff like that, stuff I had never seen before. Then I realized how fortunate I am, So that kind of like a culture shock to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it did make me appreciate, though,
okay,
that I come from. Although I came from difficult circumstances myself, but it's still, I didn't have it like they had it.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me because, everyone kind of, within a city or a culture, people are growing up and they have different experiences and they have different ways of interpreting that experience, and you're coming into Americus where you have felt some of that through the civil rights, and yet you have this great response, this positivity that it's not like you're washing things away, but that you're engaging and you see the positive things that are coming, and you're looking forward towards the future.
Yeah.
What does that kind of take? Because there's got to be some people that are just like, no, I don't agree with how Calvin sees the world, or I don't agree with how Calvin sees Americus.
Yeah.
How do you kind of encourage other people to see what you see?
Well, I just try to direct them toward the Word of God. That's what I try to do, direct them toward the Word of God. I try to get them to realize how much better things would be off if they would share if we would share the same vision. Now, I know everybody got different opinions and stuff like that, but as far as bringing Americas into the future, we need to be like-minded. We all need to be on the same page. We can't get nothing to accomplish being divided, John.
Yeah.
We all need to come to the table, put all our opinions and ideas and strategies together and work something out.
Yeah.
It don't have to be my way. It could be your way or somebody else's way. But we just all need to come together. That's what I'm trying to tell people. We just need to come together, get organized, get active, because I know that, a lot of people don't even take the time to go vote.
Yeah.
So you got to be, my faith extends into my everyday life. It shapes all my thoughts and actions and emotions, I want to be a productive citizen.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody taking care of me. I want to be a productive citizen. And that's what we got to do for the future. We got to leave this place better, for the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we need to do, John.
Yeah, and I love that, and I'm encouraged because, again, as you're saying that, I hear people say things, but then I kind of look at their life and I go, I don't know if it's on the right track,
trajectory.
But I'm looking at you and I'm like, I know you mean every bit of it because you're fully engaged, and that's encouraging to me.
Good. Thank you.
And so okay, you went for the military and you worked with trains. Now, what were you doing? When you were were you working on trains? Were you
driving
the trains? Okay.
Yeah, I was driving them.
Okay.
Yeah. For over 32 years, I was driving trains.
Did you start in Americus, or did you have to go somewhere else?
I started in Albany, really.
Okay.
I was living in Albany, and that's where I got hired on at.
Okay.
But then I got an opportunity to become a engineer apprentice.
Okay.
But the job was in Americas.
Okay.
So that gave me a chance to move back home. And I've been back ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's a very unusual job, very, very enlightened, skillful job.
Yeah. What's like the hours of that? Like, you're traveling all the time, right? What's the normal schedule for someone?
Really, you're coming and going a lot.
Okay.
It all depends on the traffic and business, and manpower.
Yeah.
And so you really do come and go a lot. It's not like you go and be gone for days. You might be gone 16 hours and you're back.
Okay.
Then you might be home for 8 hours and you're back again. So it was study, John.
Okay.
It was study. You was always on the go.
And you were carrying cargo, right? Not
just
people or
freight,
anything?
just freight.
Okay.
Because, the bottom fell out of the passenger service a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this was just freight service.
Okay.
And that's all we did. Everything that make this country run, we hauled it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, okay. So you mentioned about being involved even in local church. So when you were traveling and with working on trains and driving them, what else were you engaged in the city? Like how did you get to become involved?
I really wasn't involved that much because my career was so consuming.
Okay.
It was just too consuming, because you had very little time at home. You really couldn't get engaged at anything. If you supported anything, it had to be financially. Okay. But as far as just personally, you really couldn't do it, John.
Yeah.
All my involvement really has been since I retired.
Okay.
So, that's what me and everybody used to ask, what you going to do when you retire? What you going to do when you retire?
Yeah.
A lot of men just say, I'm going fishing. I tell them I'm going in the ministry.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I told them.
Yeah.
I'm going in the ministry.
Yeah.
Because before I retired, I was semi-involved with the shelter under the previous director.
Okay.
And I just liked what she was doing. And she kind of trained me, while she was still, she's passed on, but she was training me.
Okay.
Every chance she got, every time I was home, laying, waiting for my next call, I would come up to the shelter and watch her. She would talk to me, train me. And that's how I got involved. Yeah. Because I wanted to be involved because it just blew my mind when they opened it up, because we had never done anything like that before. Yeah.
Now you're talking about the shelter, right?
Shelter.
Okay.
Talking about Friends on the Mission. Yes, we had never done.
When did that
like
start?
That.
It was in 2005.
2005.
Okay.
Yeah, he was born out of Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So were you still driving trains at that point? Okay. So you're driving trains. Katrina hits. Yeah. And the church starts.
We had moved into a new building.
Okay.
And that building,
Friendship Missionary Baptist Church moved to a new building.
To a new building right next door to the old sanctuary. Okay. And then, we was struggling with what to do with it. And then when Katrina hit, refugees and everybody started flowing in, Spirit-led pastor to turn it into a homeless shelter. Okay. And that's how we became Friends on the Mission Relief Shelter. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that was a good turning point. Would you say for you to say, okay, this might be something I'm going to find myself in? Yeah. Because I got, I was tired of just going to church every Sunday, but we really wasn't doing nothing for the community. Yeah. Yeah. Really wasn't doing anything. So when Pastor and them opened up the Friends on a Mission, I said, well, this is it. This is something that you could get involved in that would help the community. Yeah, yeah. And again, going back to that moment where, there's something in you, you're traveling, you're working hard, you're trying to find ways, you feel like, there's just a lot going on right now, but there's something in you that's like, Calvin, you need to get involved. Yeah. And so did you retire from that to focus more in on things like Friends of the Mission, or did you just finish out your years? Yeah, I was finishing up my career. It was time to leave. Okay. And it wasn't on what I thank God is that I didn't have no doubt in my mind what I was going to do. I knew I wasn't going to be sitting at home bored. I knew I wasn't going to be going fishing all the time. Yeah. So I thank God that this ministry had come along. Okay. Because it was really, it's a load. It really is. It's a full-time job in itself. Yeah. 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 But let me back up. Yeah. When you were talking about what was inside of me, it was instilled by my mom and dad. Yeah. Because I saw them do the same thing. They would get phone calls and somebody needed something. They were gone. They was out the door. We didn't know where they was going. Yeah. But later on, we find out somebody was in trouble, needed something, and they helped them out. Yeah. And so that stuck with me coming up, seeing them being involved in the community with their fellow brothers and sisters or anybody that was in need. They was willing to help out as best they could.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, just having examples of people that are engaged in the community, that we can look back to and say,
That's right.
yep, this is not something that should be new to us. This is something that we should be continuing on. Right.
That's right, John.
And moving forward in that. And so tell me a little bit more right now. So Friends on a Mission started in 2005 with Hurricane Katrina, opening up the doors for people that were lost some homes because of the storm, I would assume, or then it became something that was a little bit more long term, not for the residents, but for the ministry.
Right.
After Hurricane Katrina, there are still people looking, right, for a place to stay for a moment so that they can kind of get back on their feet. So you guys changed a little bit about just the target group, right?
Right. Well, we didn't realize that we had a homeless situation right here. So that opened our eyes up after the Hurricane Katrina and all that subsided and got faded away. We realized that there was a ministry right here in the Americus, Sumter County, and surrounding counties. Okay. And that's how we have been operating for as long as we have, because we realized it was a need, besides our original, it was a need right here. We realized it was a need. And, it never dawned upon me before that there was homeless people in Americus.
Yeah. Do you have an estimate of how many people have kind of come through that you guys have had a chance to service, and even the amount? Because I know up to this year, but even into this year, it's been funded kind of just through the church, right? Right.
It's been funded through the church and our partners. Okay. Yeah. I won't call any names, but we do have partners that have helped us down through the years, that have made upgrades to the building, no cost to the church. The church really has funded the operating cost of the ministry. The church has really done that on a regular basis. But we have had outside partners. Yeah. We've had people that come in and donate food, donate clothing, donate furniture and stuff like that. As the word got out, and as the years went on, more and more people started coming in, making donations and stuff like that, trying to help out. Because when people see you trying to do something, John, they'll help you. Yeah. They'll help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what's the general framework for the organization right now, as far as like how many beds, how many people can be being serviced and taken care of at a time? And
before the pandemic, we could house about 16 because that was the max capacity was 16. But after the pandemic came along, I cut that in half. Okay. Because just to keep down the spread. But thank God we never had an outbreak during that time. So I thank God for that. Yeah. But over the years, people coming and going, we probably done service close to 12,000 people.
12,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that, and again, that number should shock us because we're like, is there 12,000 people that are in need over that period of time? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And they needed a place.
And see, and then you got what I have realized, John, doing this ministry. You have people that are chronic homeless. Don't qualify for nothing else. You know what I mean? They don't qualify for nothing, have no skills, have never owned anything, for whatever reason, they just chronic homeless. And that's another thing that we are trying to solve right now as we go forward. People that are chronic homeless never will have anything. Okay? Yeah. I'm talking about people that are in their senior years now. Okay? Yeah. And don't have anything. So that's what we are trying to solve, that problem right there. Okay? Chronic homeless, either through transitional housing or permanent housing.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that too, of like, this obviously meeting so many people, and again, everyone has a different background, obviously all of us are broken in some way. Right? And we deal with our brokenness in many different ways.
That's true.
But you get a chance to meet a lot of people that are in kind of the worst places they thought they would be. They weren't going for this, but here they are. Whether again, it's maybe by a natural disaster or maybe just by things that are just obviously beyond their control. What have you noticed just with talking with some of the residents, the what I would call maybe the neighbors that are in our community that are coming and looking for kind of that place to stay? What are some things that they're having to deal with so that we can not just see them as, well, they're a category of this people, but they're actual people. And so what are they dealing with?
A lot of them, believe it or not, deal with mental issues. That's really one of the biggest reasons for homelessness is mental illness. People just can't function on their own, John. They really can't. And the next I would say would be addiction, and then just a lack of not being able to how can you put it, not being functional. Okay? But the main one is mental illness that I have come in. Because I have had a lot of applicants come in, and just by talking to them, I could tell that they need more help than we was able to give them. So I would just have to pass them off to another agency.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so great too, is that I know that you network and Friends of Mission network with other organizations and agencies to kind of partner as much as you can to make sure that people are getting not just one service, but as many services they can so they can get on their feet as fast as possible. Right. And to work through whatever obstacles that they're walking through as well.
I missed that. Another factor is that people that are coming out of incarceration.
Okay. Yeah.
That's I forgot about that.
Okay.
People that are coming out of incarceration, they're going to need a lot of help.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about why they would need help. I mean, it's obvious, but a lot of times people just don't realize it, I think. Yeah,
they don't realize it. They don't have any resources, number one. And some of them are coming out of a long stint of incarceration, don't have any contacts, and people are really skeptical about them. If they go for any kind of housing, they're going to be on a long waiting list. Okay?
Yep.
So they need immediate housing. Yeah. Immediate housing. I've got several calls from parole officers, inquiring about someone that's coming out, need a place to stay. So we have to deal with that issue too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say too that, like you said, if you're coming out of a situation that, you had to deal with a lot of the networks that you had put you in there, you can't call them when you get out, right? Because you're going to be right back in the same networks. You can't. So they got to find another support system, right?
Support system.
And so it's great for you to be there for them. What would you say is, Friends on a Mission, what is the typical person, kind of the requirements to kind of get and be a part and be a resident for a short period of time there at the shelter? Like what would some people need to be able to do? If I had a friend, a neighbor that was in a very bad situation, how would I get in contact with you, and what's the kind of the requirements to get involved?
We really don't have any requirements except you need to be just homeless. Okay. You have to be drug-free. Okay. And if you're not, you have to be involved with a program. Okay. We will accept you, but you have to be in a program, some program.
And do you offer that program, or do you send them off to a program?
Send them off to a program. They have to mostly be through Middle Flint. Okay. And they will go into a program where they can receive, training and help with their addiction. Okay. And we will house them as long as they're in that program. Okay.
And where do the finances come for that? Do they have to provide finances to be in that program?
No, it's all free.
Okay.
It's all free.
That's great.
We don't ever charge anyone for the shelter anyway. Okay. But all the outside agencies that we send them to, they are free. Because they don't have any resources. Yeah. Okay? But like I said, homeless, not addicted, and if you are, you have to be on a program, okay? Okay. But that's basically it, John. Okay? Yeah. Able-bodied. We can't take in, people that are chronically sick and stuff like that. You got to be able-bodied. Yeah. And you got to be,
and you accept men and women, correct? Or is
men and women. All we accept is adults.
Okay.
We can't handle kids. Okay.
Yeah.
But just you're able-bodied adult, and if you're battling an addiction, you need to be seeking help, and you got to be homeless.
Okay. Do you see, since 2005, do you see an increase of a need for places, this service, or do you see a decrease in this need?
Definitely increase.
Okay.
Because we can't service everybody because of that's whatever the situation they're in. And because of mental health issues, we cannot service those people. And there are a lot of them, John. There are a lot of them. Okay? And I wish with all my heart that we could do it, but see, you need trained staff for that.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't have trained staff for that. So we have to limit our clientele, and because we cannot accept everybody because we don't have the staff nor the training, professional training for that. If we had in-house counselors and psychiatrists and doctors that could prescribe medication, then we could do it. But that would be a big step.
Yeah.
A big step.
Yeah. What's the average kind of time that a resident would be there?
Our policy says for 4 months.
4 months. Okay. So if they get into the program, they kind of have a place for the next 4 months. If they continue to kind of follow that, not get into drugs,
right.
To go through the program. Is everyone that's at the shelter in a particular program, or do they have to be in a program to be involved in the shelter while they're trying to maybe find a job, for example?
No.
Okay.
No. Only thing requirement, if you're not going through a drug program, you got to be looking for work.
Okay.
That's the only requirement.
Okay. Got
to be actively looking for work.
Okay. And what is the kind of what have you noticed as far as the success rate, for lack of a better term, of people that go from, being at the shelter to finding a job and getting on their feet?
Yeah, once they leave the shelter, everyone that's come through that shelter has gone on either to get their own place or they find employment.
Yeah.
So we're looking close to 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah, some of them find housing with relatives.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And also, but that still is a success rate for me.
Yeah.
As long as they can find housing.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, this is part of what you're doing is building a support system.
That's right.
For people. And if they can find support with their family, that's great.
That's great.
We want to make sure people are getting taken care of. What do you think, as I mentioned before, if someone is going through a difficult time, what have you noticed are kind of those particular obstacles that they're dealing with, and how can they not end up maybe in a situation like that? What are some other things that they could do pre this to be involved in and engaged in those activities? So what would help someone to continue to be successful? What do they need?
We need good. We need some employment that pay livable wages. Okay. I think that would be a good thing. Yeah. Need a public transportation system. You need daycare for single moms. Okay. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. Yeah. You got a lot of people that work in these minimal jobs that have kids, but they can't afford to put the kids in daycare. Okay. If they don't have family support system, then they probably won't end up working. And then, that participate a lot of stuff. Yeah. A lot of other problems come up from that. But those are some of the things that really would help a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Public transportation, daycare facilities, Yeah. People can put their kids in a nice, safe place so they won't be worried about them when they're at work. And then we need pay a livable job that pay a livable wage. Okay. Because now this going back in the past, that Americus has missed out on a lot of opportunities because of politics. Yeah. I'm talking about back in the past now. Yeah. And you talking about with just job creation? People that wanted to come to Americas, big corporations wanted to come to Americas, But, the leadership was closed-minded at that time. And those they went other places.
Yeah.
Like Albany, Warner Robins, places like that.
Yeah.
Those would have been opportunities that could be paying dividends right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I said jobs that pay a livable wage. That's the main thing, John.
Yeah. And I think, we're, when we look towards the future of Americus, those are the kind of things that we need to be paying attention to as well. Because with the advancement of, internet, people they don't have to be in Atlanta to work in Atlanta.
Right.
They can actually live up in a place like Americus and then go up on the weekends or, every so often. So people are looking at small towns like this and trying to figure out where they can invest their lives and their families.
That's right.
And so if we can build an infrastructure like that, I think that would be very, very helpful.
Very helpful.
So you had mentioned some of the things, even in the past of Americus and even some of the racial things that have happened. Are you, how do you see it now? How do you see the racial tensions now? What are the positives that you've seen that's come from that?
Well, you have more diverse people in leadership. That's been one of the big changes. City council's been integrated, stuff like that. School board's been integrated, and so that's been a big plus. Yeah, and that has brought about a lot of change. Okay, maybe not all of it's been good, but it's brought about a lot of change. Yeah, and that's I think that's the biggest factor. It's being diverse. Yeah, okay, because they are like downtown Americus has been revitalized. At one point, it was kind of dead. When Walmart came in, it was kind of dead. But people that were forward thinking, they encouraged people to start opening up business downtown. I know they gave them some incentive, but still, you got to be forward thinking, John. Yeah. And this little town was revitalized. Yeah. Still got a long way to go, but it was revitalized to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah. So when people ask you about Americus or how do you describe Americus?
Americus is a small, quaint city, but it's progressing and it's moving forward. Things ain't like they used to be, John. I think we have some pretty good leadership. I think people with good ideas are coming. They're encouraging business, small business, large business. And I think we are on the right track with that. The old ways are passed away. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. The old ways are passed away. People realize that doing business like that don't really work. It brings everybody down. But when everybody's at the table, John, sharing ideas and strategies, everybody benefit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So you feel like we're headed in the right direction?
We are. We could improve on our educational side. We can improve on that a little bit. Okay, as far as our schools and everything, but we're on the right track with that. We're going to get there. I know some people inside the public school system that are hardworking, innovative people, and I think that we're headed in the very right direction. Okay. We need to keep strategizing to how to bring people into Americus. A lot of people are the downtown development. They have good ideas, like First Fridays and everything, holding the little festivals and everything, advertising, So we're pretty well on the right track. And I think Americus is a good place to raise a family. Yeah. It still is a good place to raise a family. Yeah. It still is. We can and we need to, just tighten up on our policing a little bit. And, get rid of some of these troublemakers. And, Americas will really be a great place to live. I've been, like I said, I was born and raised here. And I love Americas. Yeah. I love Americas. And it's a good place to live, a good place to raise a family.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I think, too, that, as we're looking forward towards, not just the future of Americus, but the future of the way that it can be shaped. You talk a little bit about, education. And what are some things that you've heard that gives you a positive view on the future with our education? What are some thoughts that you've
I know several people inside the system, and they're good people, and they're pushing ideas about how we can improve our students, their test scores, how we can instill in values in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they are really moving in the right direction.
Good.
You know, I think that test scores are going up. You know, they have different strategies. You know, they have different schools that kids can go to, and they're handling their discipline problems. Okay, there's some students, you know, always going to be a discipline problem, but they're handling that too. You know, they're trying to give everybody a fair chance. And I went to a few programs back before school was dismissed for the summer, and I was very impressed with the students.
Yeah,
very impressed, well spoken. You know, they was doing things. They was reading and they was achieving great things. You know, even at a young age. You know.
Yeah.
And I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, that's good.
And we have some great teachers in this community. Okay, and I just pray that they'll hold on and continue to shape and make our children educationally.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about, you know, looking forward towards the next generation of young men and making sure that they're growing up. What are some ingredients or elements that make that would be helpful for some of these young men to grow in?
Number one, get your education. That's number one. Get your education. Number two, don't get involved with foolishness in this world. That's one of the things that the Grow Ministry has got to instill in these young men. You got to learn how to avoid the foolishness of this world. Okay? I know everybody want to be the next rapper, but everybody ain't going to be no rapper. Okay? But you can get you a college degree. Everybody can do that. Ain't that right?
Yeah.
You can go and do something productive in life. If it don't do nothing but just join the military, serve your country, you can do something productive in your life. Leave an example for somebody that's coming behind you. We got to instill that in them, John.
Yeah.
We do. And I think Grow Ministries is going to be very positive when we get these young men together and instill in them what it is to be a man.
Yeah.
A man of God. Not only just a man, but a man of God.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I love that idea of that village mentality of, you know, even my son, he's 13 years old. And when he turned 13, I took him on to, on a trail, and we walked, and I had 10 of my friends that know him write letters to him and, just kind of emphasize like, hey, I'm here for you. This is what it means to be a man. And just encourage him, hey, I'm going to be here for you. Because what I wanted to do was help my son recognize that there are people that are outside of me that will fight for him, that love him, that will be there for him. And sometimes when he can't say something to his dad, he can at least ask this guy. And I know that guy is going to lead him in the right direction because he knows me.
That's right.
Right. And so we need people that will continue to do that over and over. Like you said, we have teachers that will be willing to do that, coaches that will be willing to do that. We've got to find these guys.
Got to find these guys.
And say, hey, listen, we're all fighting for the same thing here. Right. We got to keep each other informed because it is a lot easier for children to kind of hide behind things and not have to grow up.
Right. That's true, John. Yeah. That's what I kind of encourage the men in friendship. You know, step out. You know, don't be laid back all the time. Step out, you know. Speak to these young men. Don't be afraid of them. Engage with them. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I like what they do at Century every Tuesday night. They have these great big basketball games. They open up that gym. And they come in and play basketball. But at the same time, you know, they can get a little worried too. You know?
I think it's called Open Gym or something like that.
Open Gym like that.
On Tuesday nights at Central. And anyone can come. Any kid can come. Youth can come. And then, you know, again, I mean, there are people are there playing basketball. Just get involved as much as you can.
That's a great place to engage a lot of young men.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's crazy too is that, you know, we feel like, well, they're not going to want to listen to us and you know, we don't have anything to add. And sometimes, you know, really they're looking for different types of relationships too. They have friends. They don't need friends. What they need is a mentor. They need someone who's saying, hey, was that the best decision? And they might disagree and say, I'd do whatever I want, but they know that you're going to be there next time and go, How'd that work out for you?
That's right. That's right, John. That's right.
Right. And say stuff like, I'm going to tell you, mama. So, well, what do you think about, we mentioned a little bit about Americus. What makes a thriving community?
The people. That's what I would say, John. The people. Okay. The people. All walks and likes, backgrounds, all different types of people, but they got to be focused on building a great city. Mm-hmm. Everybody got to be focused on that. Mm-hmm. The neighborhoods, every neighborhood need to reflect where they live at. Mm-hmm. And the people, I think the people. Yeah. If we are welcoming, inviting, loving people, America would be a great place. Yeah. I think the people define any place. You don't want to go nowhere where people are not friendly, do you? Not welcoming. Yeah. Not right. Trying to do anything. You don't want to go to a place like that. So I would say the people. Yeah. Yeah. Get engaged, get involved, get active in your neighborhood, in your town. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say if someone says, Calvin, I get it. I need to be more active. How do you kind of just pitch that to them and say, hey, let's just not just be, hearers of the word. Let's be doers, right? In that sense, like how would you encourage someone to kind of take that next step?
Because doing nothing is not an option. That's not an option. You have got to get involved. A lot of people don't want to get involved because they think that they're not important. What they got to say and what they have to do is not important. But I would try to encourage them that what you say and what you do is just important as the mayor or anybody else. Get involved. That's what we have to do. We're not here for personal recognition. We're here to help our city grow and be the best city that it can be. Welcoming all people, loving all people, So get involved, because doing nothing is not an option, John.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, that should be plastered somewhere, doing nothing.
Doing nothing is not an option.
It's not an option.
Because we got too many people doing that already.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like I mentioned before, people need to see this model. People need to be encouraged. People need to know that their time and their talent and their treasure is not just for themselves, but it's for the broader community as well. Community. And the more and more we're willing to kind of take risks, that's what we talk about being a next level neighbor. One of those is just being sacrificial, right? Yeah. You got to be intentional. Yeah. We got to get outside of our phone and our internet and start looking around and starting noticing people. But then the second part about that is, you got to take risks, right? Yeah. You got to say, I don't know if this relationship's going to work out. I don't know if they might say, why are you talking to me? But you're still going to do it because you're next level. You're going to take a risk. And then you're going to start making sacrifices and that might just be time. Yeah. Hey, let me take 30 minutes and just go over to their house and just spend a little bit of time with them. Okay. So
sounds good.
So what are some things that you've noticed? Just again, let's just say that people want to get involved. Maybe they're obviously probably not going to be starting an organization or a business, but what can people do in the everyday to help build and foster a good, thriving community?
What can they do? Well, I think the number priority to get engaged. Just get engaged. It's enough to do for everybody. Yeah. If you just want to get engaged, or you need to go to your council's meeting, your commissioner's meeting, get involved like that. Volunteer. Yeah. That's what you can do. Because they always need volunteers at the hospital and stuff like that. So it's something to do. It is always something to do, John. Yeah. So just get involved. Yeah. I never been a person that laid back, want to stay at home all the time. I can't stay in the house too long, John. It drives me crazy. Yeah. So I have to get out and get involved. And I thank God that I got the health and the strength to do that. Yep. And to get involved in something, involved with a ministry, that's on the go, that's doing something. Yeah. And I just encourage people, get involved. That's all you got to do. Yeah. Get involved. Yeah. If it ain't on nowhere, but right there in your neighborhood, because back when we had our mentoring program, we went to a certain section of the city and we just went picking up trash. They went to a neighborhood and just started picking up trash.
Yeah.
Got the young men, let them know what servant leadership is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we need.
Yeah. And like you said, man, finding some like-minded men and women who want to get involved as well and just say, hey, what are y'all doing? I trust you. What organization that you're a part of? Because I want to help out as well.
Right.
Because you need that network of people to encourage you to keep moving forward as well.
Amen.
So, one of the things that we like to do at the end, as we're kind of getting closer to the end of this, is we do what's called rapid fire questions. So they're just like real quick questions. They get us a chance to get to know you a little bit better as well. So let's start off by saying a few things. What is your go-to comfort food? What do you like to eat?
Comfort food?
Yeah.
Oh man, I like so much, John. I really don't have a particular one.
Okay.
But I ring party wings would be my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Party wings.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Has any favorite restaurant that you like to go to, or?
I do my own.
Nice. Let's go. You almost have to right now.
Yeah.
So, but all right, are you an early bird or are you a night owl? You like to stay up or wake up early?
I wake up early, John.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I go early to you now?
And wake up early.
I bet you're 4:30 in the morning?
Well, not like that early. But I'm usually up by 6.
Okay, great. For a vacation, do you like to go to the beach or mountains?
Ooh, I love the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
No, I'm not a beach person.
Yeah. That's too much sand probably. All right, dogs or cats?
Neither.
Neither?
Neither.
All right. Are you an animal person at all?
Not at all.
Nice.
Not
okay.
at all.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. You take your coffee black?
No, I got to have some in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do? Fishing. Okay. What kind of fishing?
Bass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get to do it often?
Not often.
No?
Not often.
Okay. If you have a favorite season?
Favorite season?
Yeah, favorite season.
I would really say the fall.
Okay.
The fall.
Yeah.
The fall is probably.
I want to love summer, but it's just too hot. It's just too much, hot. Man. All right. Do you have a dream travel destination? Is there any place you would love to go?
Well, there's a place I would like to go back to.
Okay.
Alaska.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know about this.
I would like to go back.
Okay. Yeah. What were you there for? Were you stationed there or anything? Or
no, my granddaughter was living up there at the time.
Okay.
And we went for a visit. Wow.
Yeah.
Went for a visit.
I've heard they've got some different, the time's different and it's nighttime a lot.
Now, this time of year, it's pretty much like our time.
Okay.
Except it don't get night till late, like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's crazy. But
if I was living in Alaska, my mom said, "Don't come home until the lights turn on outside." I'm like, man, it ain't gonna turn on until 10:30 at night.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. All right. What about is there a favorite song that you like to sing or that you like to hear?
Favorite song?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I got so many, John. Yeah, I got so many.
What's on it right now? What are you listening to right now?
I'm always listening to gospel music.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm most about. My favorite one now is No Weapon. That's my favorite.
No Weapon?
No Weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
By Todd Delaney.
All right. All right. All right. Are you a sweet or savory person? I'm really putting
savory.
Okay. Savory?
Try to stay away from that sweet.
All right. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
If I had one superpower?
Yeah.
Oh, man. To read somebody's mind.
Oh, yeah. All right. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
I guess as long as you could turn it on and turn it off at different times, you had to hear everybody's mind.
Right.
Oh, that's a little too much. What about, all right, last one. Do you have a favorite book or an author that you like to read?
The Bible.
Yeah.
I leave every author in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, Calvin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Like I said, you are a great asset to our community, not just because of the things that you do, but because of who you are. And I'm very thankful for our relationship. I really look forward to the future of working with you just in our community as we continue to fight for those things that we want to see. And I am all for the fight of the next generation that comes through. They have a support system, but not just for them to be successful in this world, but be successful in the next. And that comes through a relationship with God. And so I'm very thankful for your faith and for your encouragement. Just continue to do what you're doing. And I know that you encourage a lot of people. You want to see the best in people. And sometimes we forget that people like you don't get a lot of just thanks. And so thank you so much for what you're doing in our community.
Thank you also, John.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're an asset to the community, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We're good.
We're good. We're
That's
good.
awesome, Calvin. All right. So 2 things real quick. We're going to have probably take a picture.